just start to communicate via the toll-like receptor I show you. I don't know if I can, here, look, we have the receptor and we have the macrophagic cells, dendritic cells, and these cells start to educate all the immune cells and say, look, you can produce this kind of cytokine, you go in this way, you go in this other way, you produce, this is plasma cells that produce IgA, and that these naive cells can just changing themselves in Th1, Th2, Th17. And these are the cells that can change the defense and the tolerance. All the basis of autoimmune disorders comes from there. Because if happen, then there is a balanced colonization, a eubiosis, a proper colonization of all the microbes we have into the intestine, everything is set for a normal education of these cells. If we have inflammation and abnormal colonization, then we have a disruption of this process. Then we have some cells that can unbalance the inflammation and that can overreact to some antigens, and this is the basis of all the problem we can go also, not only again in the pediatric ages, but also later in life. Why is so important? But it's into the intestine. Because is it into this? We don't care. No, we do care. Because what is happening into the intestine? There is this sentence that my friends say, John Cryan from Cork is always studying this gut-brain axis. He say, intestine is not like Vegas. Whatever is happening into the intestine, do not stay into the intestine. It goes out. Everything goes out. Why? Because into the intestine we have a huge blood system network. So the intestine is an immense surface, and the villi have this bloodstream. All this production of cytokine, different cells, goes through the bloodstream all over the body. Reach the lymph node, reach the other immune organ, reach everything, reach the brain. We will see that reach the brain. So whatever is happening into the intestine is an effect all over the body. And so this is something that we have to keep in mind, that the immune system that we have into the intestine, we need to take care of this. We need to absolutely have a proper colonization. But this is something on the immune. But in the title, I talk already about brain, gut-brain immunity axis. So the gut and the brain, they communicate with each other, okay? And there is at least what we know, is at least three pathways. One is the vagal nerve, neuronal nerve. This is almost quite easy to understand, because vagal nerves came from the brain, it goes into all the body, and then the ramification goes into the intestine, and the intestine is also called the second brain, because into the intestine are allocated the same number of the neurons in the brain. The difference is just specialization, contact, sonic contact, dendritic contact. So they communicate, they receive information, biochemical, in a bidirectional way. Then we have the immune system. So why so this? You remember the bloodstream? So the cytokine production into the intestine can go to the blood, the communication blood, they goes up to the brain, they cross the blood-brain barrier, and into the brain arrives some cytokine or some lymphatic cell related to the maturation of the intestine. And then we have the metabolic production pathway. So all but majority of bacteria, bifidobacteria and lactobacilli that I show you, they produce these substances that is called short-chain fatty acid. These short-chain fatty acid have a lot of functioning, and they are also a functioning because they are precursor of some neurotransmitters. And this is the third pathway, so metabolic production. But it's not only that the gut influences the brain, but also the brain can influence the gut. So they communicate biochemically one of them, but they change the function. Again, it's so impressive to think that if we have an inflammation into the intestine, we can change also the function of the brain. And also the gut bacteria, they are important in, how can I say, in the function of producing serotonin. Serotonin is a precursor of a lot of neurotransmitters. And where serotonin is produced? Into the intestine. So serotonin is produced into the villi of the intestine, and this production of serotonin are basically related to a different concentration of bifidobacteria and lactobacilli. And it's even more, how can I say, impressive to understand that now we are able to just match some specific strain of bacteria with a specific production of neurotransmitter. A lot of bifidobacteria have been ruled out to produce specific neurotransmitter. For instance, you have the Bifidobacterium adolescentes or infantis that have been reported to the biosynthesis of GABA. And also the adolescents show some prophylactic effect in anxiety. So, and also the Bifidobacterium longum have been reported to contribute in well-being and preventing the stress. So can you imagine? Now this concept is called psychobiotic, because all these probiotic, all these bacteria have an efficacy in changing the production of neurotransmitter. So what is our ultimate goal? Our ultimate goal is to keep our intestine in a status of balanced inflammation in order to ensure a proper development of the immune cells and a proper contact, a proper communication with the brain. Everything's into the intestine, into the microbes, into the epithelial function. But again, this process of colonization, this process of changing the bacteria into the intestine is complex. It is multifactorial. There are a lot of things that can change, that can disrupt, or that can accept a normal colonization. First of all, the way of delivery. I'll show you that colonization starts at birth. Way of delivery. Baby born C-section, vaginal, we will go through this, and they have a different colonization. And then nutrition, because nutrients challenge the intestine 5-6 times a day. And then there is a reaction of these microbes. Of course, that there are the use of antibiotics, the environmental factor, social predator, and genes. But let's go to nutrition. What is the best nutrition for a baby? It's breast milk. We are not here to discuss this, we're just here to underline over and over again that we have the gold standard is to just increase as possible as much the rate of breastfeeding, because breastfeeding is the ideal nutrients for a baby. Not only because it contains almost all the nutrients that the baby needs in order of protein, amino acids, lipids, and whatever, but also because the breast milk has got an immense source of bacteria and a proper bacteria. So every ml of breast milk contains 10 to 4 to 10 to 5 colony-forming units of microbes. And are exactly the microbes that we need to ensure a proper colonization. So this creates this composition with specific nutrients, specific fats, specific protein, specific bacteria and metabolite, like also human milk oligosaccharides, create a unique composition of the human milk. So everything we want in our baby development is there. But let's go to see what is happening to the baby who are born cesarean section. I told you that the kind of delivery also influenced the microbes. So baby born cesarean section have a totally different colonization, and there is a very high risk in these children to develop later in life problem of allergy, problem of autoimmune disorder, problem of behavioral and mood and everything, because all the colonization is disrupted. Why? Because during the vaginal delivery, there is a vertical microbial transmission. So there is the hormone signal, the baby is born vaginal, is taking the lactobacilli of the vagina of the mother, and everything starts in a process of colonization. If the baby is born C-section, then we have the microbial horizontal transmission. So staphylococci from the skin or from the gloves of the surgeon, and of course there is less stress, and then everything is absolutely disrupted. And actually there were a lot of studies showing that the baby born C-section had a different colonization. This one is the first by Nomi Bello in 2010. She just showed this different colonization, and bifidobacteria are delayed, bifidobacteria are low, but the main problem is this colonization remains also after 1 year of age. That's why they have problem also later in life, because restore this colonization after the C-section is not that simple. So what we can do if we don't have the breastfeeding, or if, I show you that ideally everyone should be breastfeeded, but we know that there are some children that don't get breastfeeding. So actually, since 20 years ago, we were studying and founding these functional nutrients. These functional nutrients came from the concept of resembling the breastfeeding, because they are already in the breastfeeding. But we want to give to our children if we don't have the possibility to breastfeed them. What are these? There are 4 components of this biotic family. One is the prebiotic. What is a prebiotic? It's a substrate that is selectively utilized by the host microorganism and confer an health benefit. Then we have the probiotics. Probiotics is a live microorganism that when is used in adequate amount confer again health benefit. You always keep in mind that in every definition we will find always health benefit. Then we have the symbiotic. What are the symbiotic? It's a combination of a prebiotic and a probiotic. Again, they have to confer health benefit. And then we have the postbiotic. Postbiotic are a preparation of an inanimate microorganism or components. So they are just components. And also this has to confer health benefit. Now, we have a huge, absolutely a great amount of these prebiotic, probiotic, symbiotic. We have a lot in postbiotic, but we need to be precise in identifying this. Why is so? Because every one of these, every prebiotic, every probiotic, every symbiotic or postbiotic has to be shown to have the health benefit. Remember the definition. In every definition, health benefit. And how can we ensure? First of all, identifying the composition or the microorganism, and second, showing the health benefit with scientific, clinical, randomized trial. So we have to identify and show. We cannot mix, we cannot translate. We have to be very clear. So for instance, in one example, on a prebiotic, we have thousands of prebiotics. But if we focus on this specific prebiotic mixture, combination of GOS and FOS, okay? This is a specific, it's trademark, and this is is the most studied prebiotic since 20 years. This has been shown 40 years, but let's say clinically proven and clinically spread 20-25 years, because it has been put it in the formula. It has been approved by FDA, by the EFSA and everything, and exactly that combination with that amount, with that biochemical, we have to be precise. We cannot translate to any other prebiotic. This is it. Has been shown to have accelerate gastrointestinal transport, gastric emptying, improve feeding tolerance, softener the stool. Basically, there are a lot of efficacy. Again, not only once. In the last 25-30 years, clinical study showing that this kind of prebiotic, put it in the formula, has been shown, remember, the health benefit. We can say, oh, the prebiotic are good. No, we can say this combination is good. And so it's also for the probiotic. Probiotic, it's a huge word. We have thousands of strains, especially in the market, thousands of strains. So whenever we want to say something, we have to be precise. Now, for instance, what is on Bifidobacterium breve M16V? Why so many names around this? It's not just simple to say Bifidobacterium breve, no. Because we have at least 100, 150 Bifidobacterium breve. So we have to identify, like, we have a lot of Italian women, a lot of Italian women came from the south of Italy, a lot of Italian women came from Bari, a lot of Italian women, but you have only one came from Bari at Address Street, Martin Luther King Street 14. That's it, that's me. So you have to identify specifically. So that's why you need Bifidobacterium breve M16V. Otherwise, you cannot translate. Please keep in mind this, ever. Whenever it comes to you, every company comes to you, please identify every strain. So this strain of Bifidobacterium breve also has been absolutely studied, has been shown to have an efficacy, has shown to produce no lactic acid, and biochemically speaking, also has been clinically studied for 20 years. Put it into the formula. Because another thing you cannot translate is supplementation and inside the formula. So you have to have the study, also the viability. Be absolutely precise in this. So have been recognized by the authority in Europe and in the US, and have been done by extensive research. And now an example of symbiotic. Again, not everything are the same. Whatever is symbiotic, every combination of pre and pro could be called symbiotic. Okay, right. But please identify. When we are talking about specific symbiotic, for instance, together the Bifidobacterium breve M62V, together with GOS and FOS, this kind of combination of symbiotic has been studied into the formula, and we will listen later of the efficacy. I will just here giving an overview that has been absolutely good in not only in let's say animal study, but also in human study, but we will learn about this. So what is the take-home messages? That the balanced microbiota is fundamental for an adequate development of immune system and gut-brain interaction, that there are a lot of factors that change discolorization, and one above the other is the C-section, so we have to take care of these children born C-section particularly. And of course, ideal nutrition is human milk. What we have to do, we have to resemble human milk in the case we don't have it. So I'll thank you very much, and I'm open for the questions. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.